Welcome to Screen Blast Repeat, the best of 2025. In this video, we're going to be looking at the top 7 death metal albums. It was another quiet year for death metal with few big name releases to whet the appetite. As a genre, it continues to subsist on a large underground support base and shows no signs of withering away, but the excess of bands writing the same material with little to distinguish it, let's be honest, that is a major problem. Death metal's influence on other subgenres remains strong, and it's here we can often find the most interesting evolution of the music. Nevertheless, we've not included progressive death metal in this list, which rules out the splendid new albums by Fallujah and Rivers of Nile. Likewise, death metal is now a major part of the modern hardcore sound and has had a reverse influence on modern thrash, with many artists now employing its harsher vocals. We've also excluded these from our list. It's only right that we also remember the fallen. Death metal lost a true legend in September when At the Gates frontman Thomas Lindberg died of a rare cancer. We dedicate this list to his memory. These are the top 7 death metal albums of 2025. At number 7, we're going to the home of heavy metal, Birmingham, England, and we're talking about the album Ravage of Empires by Benediction, released on the 4th of April 2025 via Nuclear Blast. There once was a time when this genre turned you into a half-crazed psychopath through the medium of epileptic moshing. Benediction are happy to remind you of this. The sinister threading of the guitar scale notes will have you looking over your shoulder. Never mind playing God, the two axemen here play the Grim Reaper with glee. There's no doubt in the enthusiasm of this band or the quality of their death metal. Verdict? 7 out of 10. At number 6, we're going to Denmark. We have Baest with their album Colossal, released on the 15th of August via Century Media. So why is this not a simple mellow death record? Maybe because its creators want to don the headbands and take their sound to a rock arena. Tedium is the enemy of death metal. Baest understood this on their last LP, and they want to eliminate it for good on this record. James Hetfield will be proud of the swagger in Imp of the Perverse. Your mind will need time to attune to the contrast of flesh-hungry vocals and radio-friendly Megadeth riffing. But there's nothing commercial about this when you notice the prog metal elements underpinning it. Verdict? 7 out of 10. At number 5, we're going to Canada. We have Cryptopsy with their album An Insatiable Violence, released on the 20th of June via Season of Mist. Jesus Christ, this is brutal. Occasional guitar grooves threaten to break away from the neck-snapping speed the way a tank might veer off course to avoid an aerial bombardment. We take it for granted that every heavy metal band can pound you into submission and use digital tools to create a surround sound experience. Few do it better than Cryptopsy. Verdict? 8 out of 10. At number 4, we have English death metal legends Cancer with their album Inverted World, released on the 25th of April via Peaceful Records. Labelling something as solid death metal has become a veiled criticism these days. It need not apply here. You can sit down with this record and analyse it with untamed curiosity. Inverted World reminds you how Sepultura once held the future of metal in their hands on the cusp of 1993, yet there's nothing productive about this album. One suspects that founding members Ian Buchanan and Carl Stokes might even give it the nod of approval as custodian of the band's legacy. Verdict? 8 out of 10. Coming in at number 3 is Sanguisugabogg with their album Aftermath, released on the 10th of October via Century Media. In a scene jaded by monotony and lack of imagination, Aftermath ought to be just another record with no repeat listening value. It isn't. Why at track 7 is this music still invigorating? They may have a strange name and a lot of hype, but Sanguisugabogg do many things right on this album and remind you that death metal can be fun and disturbing at the same time. Verdict? You guessed it. 8 out of 10. At number 2, we're going to New Zealand. Is this band even death metal these days? Definitely extreme metal, very technical. We're talking about Blindfolded and Led to the Woods with their album The Hardest Thing About Being God Is That No One Believes Me, released on the 10th of October via Prosthetic Records. This music is too intense to allow the listener the luxury of a wandering mind. Blast beats and foaming guitar intervals rip at your facial muscles every time you try to zone out. And of course, the technical arrangements are stupendous. The halfway mark makes one thing clear. Blindfolded and Led to the Woods do not think their last two records were heavy enough. That means we should be terrified. Verdict? Of course this is an 8 out of 10. Which brings us to the best death metal album of 2025. Number 1 spot. Drum roll please. At number 1, we go to England. We have Vacuous with their record In His Blood, released on the 28th of February via Relapse Records. The overtones of trauma on this LP are unusual in death metal. You'd expect to find them on a sludge or post-metal album. Vacuous prefer to make their music as ugly and as painful as possible. They capture the isolation of living on the periphery of life with no acknowledgement from others that you exist. That's what gives this spleen-rupturing music its unique pathos. Verdict? 8 out of 10. Congratulations to Vacuous for landing the number 1 spot in the Scream Blast Repeat Death Metal Album of the Year. Let's also look at some honourable mentions. These are the 5 records that nearly made this list. We have Blunt Knife Castration, Live Fast, Die Slow. Cartilage with their album Tales from the Entrails and Necrology. Kronos Compulsion with their record Lawgiver. Kerberos, Apostle to the Malevolent. And Finnish band Pojoisen Saturit with their album N. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video. Look out for the next one in the series of the best albums of 2025. And don't forget, please do subscribe to the Scream Blast Repeat YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook. Take care.